Once upon a sunny morning, deep in the heart of the green, giggly forest, a curious little girl named Masha woke up to the song of chirping birds and the smell of pine trees dancing in the breeze. The forest was glowing, dew on the leaves, butterflies fluttering about, and the warm sun painting everything gold. Masha stretched her arms wide and grinned. "Today feels like an adventure day," she said, her voice bubbling with excitement. Bear, her big, gentle friend, was sitting by the garden patch, sipping honey tea and humming softly. He liked peaceful mornings, quiet mornings, but Masha's mornings were never quiet. "Bear, let's go explore the Echo Hill today. I heard when you shout from the top, your voice comes back like magic," she said, eyes sparkling. Bear chuckled and shook his furry head. "Echo Hill is far, Masha. The path is tricky. Maybe tomorrow." But Masha's spirit was already running ahead of her feet. "Tricky paths are the best kind," she giggled, twirling around. She wanted to prove she was brave, not just in words, but in heart. Bear looked at her fondly. He knew Masha's courage always came with a tiny bit of mischief. "All right," he sighed, "but we go together, and we listen carefully to the forest. It always speaks if you listen." So off they went, the little girl skipping, the big bear plodding beside her, through the whispering woods. The forest was alive with sounds, the crunch of twigs, the whoosh of wind, the chatter of birds. Masha pointed at everything: shiny beetles, funny mushrooms, and a squirrel who looked like it was wearing a hat. "Look, Bear, he's so fancy," she laughed. Bear smiled, but kept a watchful eye. The deeper they went, the quieter it became. After a while, the trail split into two. One was wide and bright, the other narrow and shadowy. A wooden sign stood in the middle, but the letters had faded with time. She frowned, tilting her head. "Which one do we take?" Bear scratched his chin. "The bright path seems safe," but Masha's eyes gleamed at the shadowy trail. "Safe is boring. Let's take the fun one." Bear hesitated, but before he could speak, Masha had already hopped on to the darker trail. The forest here felt cooler, and the air smelled of damp earth. Strange bird calls echoed through the trees. Bear followed close behind, his heavy steps making soft thuds on the ground. "Stay close, Masha," he murmured. "Always," she said. But then she wasn't. A shiny red butterfly drifted past her nose, glowing like a ruby in the dim light. "Ooh," she whispered, chasing it. The butterfly fluttered deeper into the forest, and without thinking, she followed. When she stopped, the butterfly was gone, and so was Bear. The woods suddenly felt bigger, darker, quieter. The wind whispered through the leaves, and Masha's heart gave a tiny tremble. "Bear?" she called softly. No answer. Her voice came back as an echo. "Bear! Bear!" fading into the trees. Her eyes filled with tears. She wanted to be brave, but now her courage felt small, like a candle in a storm. She sat on a mossy rock, hugging her knees. "I just wanted an adventure," she sniffled, "but I didn't mean to get lost." Then she remembered Bear's words. "The forest always speaks if you listen." Masha closed her eyes and took a deep breath. The forest was still around her, humming softly. She listened, really listened. She could hear the rustle of leaves, the whisper of the wind, and somewhere far away, the faint sound of Bear's deep humming voice. Her heart jumped. "Bear!" she gasped. She stood up, brushing away her tears. "Okay, heart," she whispered, placing a hand on her chest. "Lead the way." Step by step, she followed her heart and the faint hum in the distance. The forest seemed to guide her. Branches leaned aside, a gentle breeze nudged her forward, and the sunlight peeked through just enough to show her the path. Every step felt braver than the last. Meanwhile, Bear was calling her name, his voice worried but steady. "Masha, little one!" He followed her footprints and broken twigs, hoping she was safe. And then, through the trees, he saw her, that tiny pink dress bouncing toward him. "Bear!" she cried, running into his arms. Bear scooped her up, hugging her tightly. "I was so scared," she said. "Me too," Bear rumbled softly, his voice shaking with relief. They sat down beneath a tall oak tree, the sunlight dancing between its leaves. Masha sniffled and smiled weakly. "I thought I was brave, Bear, but when I got lost, I felt so small." Bear looked at her kindly. "Being brave doesn't mean you never feel scared, Masha. It means you listen to your heart, even when it's afraid. And today, your heart led you home." Masha looked thoughtful. "So, courage and my heart are friends?" Bear chuckled. "The best of friends. And you just helped them meet." She giggled softly, feeling warm inside. The fear had melted away, replaced by a gentle glow, the kind that comes when you understand something big and beautiful for the first time. As they walked back home, the forest seemed to sing along. The birds chirped brighter, the wind hummed softer, and even the trees swayed like they were proud of her. Masha swung Bear's paw like a pendulum and said, "Next time, I'll listen better." Bear smiled, eyes twinkling. "And maybe wait before running off?" She laughed. "Maybe." When they reached home, the sun was dipping low, painting the sky in orange and pink. Bear lit a small fire, and they sat together, toasting berries on sticks. Masha looked into the flames and whispered, "You know, Bear, I think courage isn't about doing scary things. It's about listening when your heart tells you what's right." Bear nodded, and sometimes, he said, your heart speaks the loudest when the world is quiet. Masha leaned against his furry arm, watching the stars blink to life. The forest that once felt scary now felt like home again, full of friends, whispers, and gentle magic. That night, as the crickets sang their sleepy song, Masha smiled with her eyes half closed. "Good night, Bear," she murmured. "Good night, little brave one," Bear replied softly. The moonlight spilled across them, wrapping them in silver light, and somewhere in the heart of the forest, a soft echo whispered back, "Brave one, brave one." The forest had listened too, and from that day on, whenever Masha faced something new or frightening, she'd close her eyes, put her hand over her heart, and say quietly, "Lead the way, my friend." And her heart always did, softly, kindly, courageously. Just like it did on the day courage found a friend.